There are moments on live television when the cameras stop being just cameras. They become witnesses. Silent, unblinking witnesses to something so raw, so real, that no script, no producer's notes, and no PR team could possibly contain it. Welcome to Flecker and Inspire, the place where we peel back the curtain on the most unforgettable, jaw-dropping moments the world can't stop talking about. And today is one of those days. It began quietly enough, on a crisp New York morning in early 2025, when the lights of Times Square reflected against the towering glass windows of Good Morning America. Inside, producers were buzzing. Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex herself, was scheduled for a high-profile segment. It was supposed to be the perfect morning, a blend of charm, grace, and carefully curated conversation. But if anyone thought this day would be a safe, pre-packaged PR moment, they were about to be proven disastrously wrong. Meghan's appearance on GMA was just the first act in a chain reaction that would send shockwaves through the entertainment industry. Because what began as a polished interview on George Stephanopoulos, turf would end with Meghan Markle being escorted off the set of The View after a verbal battle with none other than Whoopi Goldberg, leaving the audience stunned and the internet ablaze. The GMA segment started smoothly enough. Meghan walked onto the set in a fitted navy dress, hair perfectly styled, her signature smile lighting up the room. George greeted her with the practiced warmth of a man who had done this 1,000 times. The audience clapped politely, the teleprompter rolled, and the conversation started with predictable topics: her latest charity work, her family life, her hopes for 2025. But just under the surface, there was tension. George, as always, had a knack for sliding in questions that probed a little too close to the bone. He asked about her strained relationship with the royal family. He asked about the public's divided perception of her. He even brought up recent headlines questioning the authenticity of her activism. Meghan, poised but visibly irked, deflected as best she could. But there was a flicker in her eyes, that same flicker the world had seen before, when she decided she wasn't going to sit back and take it. The moment that lit the fuse came when George leaned forward and asked, with that slight, almost smirking tone he's known for, "Do you think people are tired of hearing your side of the story?" The audience reacted with a low murmur. Meghan's smile faltered for the first time. "I think people are tired of hearing lies about me," she replied, her voice calm but with an edge sharp enough to cut through the studio lights. The exchange grew tighter, more pointed. Meghan's body language shifted, her shoulders squared, her eyes locked in on George like a fencer measuring the distance to her opponent. By the end of the segment, it was clear this wasn't just another interview. Something in Meghan had been triggered, and it wasn't going to stop with Good Morning America. When she left the GMA studio, her next stop was The View. She'd been booked as a guest weeks earlier, part of a planned cross-network media push. The producers probably thought they'd get the same Meghan they had seen in earlier, softer interviews. They couldn't have been more wrong. By the time she arrived at the ABC studio where The View films, the air around her seemed charged. The audience, mostly unaware of what had just gone down on GMA, greeted her with applause. She took her seat at the table next to Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, and Sarah Haynes. The cameras rolled. The first few minutes were standard, a light chat about her new projects. But then, inevitably, the conversation turned to her public image. Whoopi, known for her no-nonsense approach, didn't bother with sugar-coating. "Look, Meghan," she said, leaning back in her chair, "you've been in the headlines for years now, and not all of it's been flattering. At what point do you stop blaming everybody else and start looking at what you might be doing wrong?" The studio went silent. Joy Behar's eyebrows shot up. Sunny Hostin looked down at her notes, sensing the incoming storm. Meghan took a slow breath before answering. "Whoopi, with all due respect, I've spent years being blamed for things I didn't do. When people fabricate stories about you, it's not blaming others to set the record straight. It's survival." Whoopi wasn't having it. "Survival? Honey, you're sitting here in designer clothes on national television. That's not survival. That's privilege. And if you want people to take you seriously, you might want to remember the difference." The audience gave a mix of gasps and awkward laughter. Meghan's expression hardened. "Privilege doesn't protect you from racism. It doesn't protect you from misogyny. And it certainly doesn't protect you from people tearing you down for sport," she shot back. The tension at the table was now electric. Sarah Haynes tried to steer the conversation back to safer ground, but it was too late. The exchange had tapped into something raw, and neither woman seemed willing to let it go. Whoopi leaned forward now, her tone less playful and more pointed. You keep saying people tear you down. But maybe people are reacting to the fact that you keep making it about you. Every interview, every book, every documentary, it's all Meghan, Meghan, Meghan. When do we hear about something that's not centered on you? Meghan's voice rose slightly. You think I talk about myself because I enjoy it? I talk about myself because other people have been telling my story for years without my consent. And when I try to correct it, I'm told I'm playing the victim. That's a double standard. The back and forth was no longer an interview, it was a duel. Every sentence carried more weight, every pause more tension. The audience was riveted, torn between cheering and cringing. Then came the moment that would end the segment, and Meghan's appearance, for good. Whoopi,